And I'm very lucky that in my virtual playground there is actually a cycle ride away from my home in the north of Scotland. Are people coming in now? Hi, Maria.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Duncan.
So I'll share some slides just to get us started. Okay, you got it coming through? Yeah.
We
So
can
self,
see it.
great. Always helps, doesn't it? With my mouse. So depending on the time, how long things take, 'cause the first time I've done this, I'm not sure how it will go. I want to share some ideas, perspectives, approaches, a couple of videos, some exercises we might do together. And the purpose is to invite your reflection and to encourage you to experiment. And what we're looking at when I talk about the self is the self in the world is like your everyday self that you would often think of as this is me in the world. This is what I do. This is my work, my name, my experience, the tools I know, your skills, etc. And then that self in the world takes a big place. But sometimes we can resource and connect with and be informed by what I call the more spiritual aspects. And sometimes we go inward, inside, deep inside to that wisdom inside. And depending on where you're coming from, you could call it the divine, God, the inner self, uh, whatever it is for you, but the source within you that has knowledge and wisdom. And then we can go the other way. We can have a sense of expansion. And then we can expand into a greater self that goes beyond an individual, goes beyond even the planet, and just goes into the space that surrounds us all, that everything comes and goes. And in everyday living, probably that self in the world is very dominant and the others come in occasionally. But maybe with a little bit of focus, we can change the relationships of the self in the world is more balanced and informed by the inner self or source and by the expanded self. So we can go a bit from that to this. And we'll be looking a little today at how you can develop, connect with, express yourself that is in the world, because that is important. And also how we might connect with the other aspects of self. So the self factor I wrote many years ago now, and I was brainstorming with a colleague and a friend about what does it take to have a strong self. This was in the coaching context, but we meant for everybody. What is it involved in having a strong self? And out of that, I came up with some ideas. I was very lucky that I got the support of John Whitmore on that to write the forward. And what a lot of people don't know about John, they know about his background, maybe as a racing driver, Sir John Whitmore. He worked with the inner game, and of course, he's known for coaching for performance. But what a lot of people don't know is that he actually had quite a strong spiritual connection. He did some of the wild and wacky stuff in Esalen. He studied psychosynthesis with his wife at the time, Diana, and later he went on to become like the granddaddy of coaching in the UK and Europe. And she started this psychosynthesis trust with therapists. So he's quite a strong transformational background as well, which you can come across. So this self in the world, the you, because think about it, wherever you go, whoever you're with, whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying, your effectiveness and how you come across will always depend on the you who is there. And often in coaching, we talk about coaching the who or looking at the who. But that you is always there, is what I call the. And the model I developed around this, the self model, because I love acronyms, there's something about them I like. is SELF, Sustaining, Empowering, Listening, Friendship. And we'll have a quick whistle-stop tour of these and with a couple of ideas and probably some sharing between us and maybe a breakout room. So sustaining. What does it take to sustain yourself for your work and throughout your life? And three areas or perspectives that I use on this are, they overlap. Ecology, personal ecology, taking care of your needs, and energy maintenance. They kind of fit together. But a lot of us are concerned about the sustainability of our world and nature. Yeah. And yet we are part of nature and our bodies are part of nature. So how much do you care for yourself? How sustainable is your way of life? It's linked to taking care of your needs. Marshall Rosenberg, who taught nonviolent communication, sometimes called compassionate communication. He says that if you're feeling a bit off in yourself, edgy, maybe a bit grumpy, or whatever, or easily triggered, it's quite likely that one of your needs is not being met. And then it can help to investigate what do I need that's not being met? And what do I need to ask for or get? And energy maintenance, it's like imagine that you're a vase if you're from the UK, or a vase for the US and a vase for the UK. So you have this vase and you've got holes in it. So you're being filled with energy, but you're also losing energy from the holes that drain it away. So two ways to increase your energy are to put more in, give yourself the things that nourish you, and then stop some of the energy drains or tolerations that drain your energy. So I'm going to ask you a question now. How sustainable is the way that you're currently living your life? And what needs to change for you to become more personally eco-friendly? So let's, just to get us speaking with each other, Claire, okay, let's have some breakout rooms with 2 or 3 people in, just to reflect on it for 5 minutes on those questions. How sustainable is the way you are living your life now? What needs to change for you to become more personally eco-friendly? Are the questions clear for everybody? How sustainable is it now? What needs to change? Okay, so Claire's going to put it in breakout rooms. I'll stop the share.
I'm going to open the rooms. One person's just joining, so let me do the rooms again.
A few new faces I recognize. Yeah. Happy that.
And I'm going to go in the breakout as well, Duncan, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. So do I need to do it to close the rooms myself, or are you going to do it automatically?
I can come out and close it if you wish me to.
Okay, let's just make it 5 minutes.
Sure.
I like to get people meeting each other early on.
Okay. See you shortly.
Claire, am I co-host? So can I admit someone if they come?
You are, yes.
Okay. Navpreet, oh, there you go. Welcome back. So bearing in mind, you never know what somebody else needs to hear. What would you like to share from what came up for you in terms of sustainability?
In our group, Italy, Vancouver, and Bahrain, it was really interesting that the sustainable thing is to slow down, stop, and concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
Like one person closed the eyes. I had 10 minutes. The client was late. I closed my eyes 10 minutes. Another person concentrate on making the latte exactly how she wanted, or the third person, me cutting salad. So this is, and that we are living in a really complex world
Mm-hmm.
where we are connected with everybody and everything is changing. This is what came out.
Lovely. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
And may I just add to that? Thanks, Marla. That also it's the smaller things that we're doing day to day that we don't really notice. They just become robotic, almost in a sense. So it's those things that we can manage in a smaller container, stopping and focusing, because it's so complex around us. So thank you.
Yeah. And sometimes you can have small things you can change. For instance, if you're in an office complex, deliberately take twice as long to walk from one room to another. And as you walk, look at the colors, just notice what you see. Those little things that don't have to take a big deal. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Anybody else?
Brigitte actually has the word sustainability behind her, can you believe?
Really? Yeah. It's something we care about often for the planet and other people, but it can be quite challenging to give that gift to ourselves. So sustainability is one of the things, and I'll just start sharing again. We can also do an inquiry into needs. I won't do it now because of the time, but if we find at the end we've got more time, we might come back to it. Identifying our needs and then looking at what happens when it's not being met compared to when we do bother to meet our needs. So sustainability is one part of the self, and empowerment is the next one. And when I think of empowerment, by the way, there's the definition of empowerment is lovely. If you go to the dictionary, one part of it is to enable somebody to achieve things, to support them in achieving things, is to empower them. Another part of empowerment is to give the authority to somebody. So when we're a coach, if we're too focused on helping the client achieve things, we may forget to give them their autonomy and their authority. And I found it comes up to three things: responsibility for your thoughts, your actions, your deeds, your choices, having the resources you need, and also respect for yourself. And when it comes to respect, how do you talk to yourself when things are going on in your life and you're trying to do things, or maybe when you don't get to do what you said you'd do or wanted to do? What kind of language do you use with yourself? I can't remember who is a particularly well-known therapist. She said, if we talk to our friends out loud, the way we talk to ourselves in our head, a lot of the time we wouldn't have any friends. So what do you do when you're trying to encourage yourself? Do you criticize yourself and say, I could have done better, it should have gone this way, or do you motivate yourself? Anyone like to just share anything on that? What do you notice about how you encourage yourself? Criticism or encouragement? Well, you may say it out loud or not, but reflect on it. Mirella, were you going to say something?
I think everybody is thinking what I'm thinking, that we are criticizing ourselves a little bit too much. At least this is me.
Yeah.
That's
Stupid.
the side.
Yeah. Go ahead. I can't see all the faces, so just speak out when there's a block, because I can't necessarily see your hands for everybody.
Okay, this is Katie. I had a coach mentor a few years back talk about treating yourself like your oldest and dearest friend. And I strive to do that, although sometimes I'm not always the best friend to myself, but I do it with loving kindness.
Yeah, absolutely. Loving kindness for yourself. So for those of you who are willing to take this on, an experiment or application to try is say for the next week, let go of criticizing yourself and use positive encouragement. It doesn't mean you can't say, I can't say to myself, acknowledge I may have made a mistake or not done something well. Instead of saying, you stupid Duncan, I can say, okay, I could have done that better. Start again. We can do it. And with that in mind, if you notice yourself criticizing yourself, you've got two choices. One is to say, I've done it again. There I am. I'm criticizing myself. And the other is to say, well done. I noticed. Start again. Some years ago, I used to teach Alexander technique, which is movement and coordination, to a group of actors and musicians and dancers, performance arts students. And as part of that, I used to teach 3-ball juggling with 3 balls. And when you're trying to learn juggling, what do you think is the biggest barrier or concern?
Dropping the balls.
Dropping the ball. Yeah, Michael. And then when you're scared of dropping the ball, you end up reaching for it sharply and your whole coordination goes. Because actually the secret of juggling is the throw, not the catch. If you throw the ball correctly, it lands in the other hand. So what I taught these performance arts students, so when they drop the ball, rather than getting guilty and trying to pick it up quickly so no one would notice, they used to say, I dropped one. Then they'd pick the ball up in a relaxed fashion and start again. Of course, they were really good students, so I would find they're lovely, lovely guys and girls, but often they come in 10 minutes late for class, look at me in the face and smile and say, I'm sorry, Duncan, I dropped one. But it's a great way to go. So when you find yourself making mistakes, just try saying, I dropped one. Start again. Now, the third element of the self model is listening to yourself. 2 ways, firstly, practicing quieting down, spending time with yourself, the way you would with a friend or family, and getting to know yourself in reflection and silence. So that inner listening. And I'm going quite quick with this. We could spend a whole webinar on any one of these topics. So I'm just going to give you a taster. So different ways to connect with yourself. And the other aspect of listening is when you want to make a decision, and then you're contacting that wisdom or knowledge inside yourself so as to make the best quality decision. So I'm not going to do a sharing here, but reflect for a moment. What are you doing at the moment in your life to connect with yourself on a regular basis? And what would you like to do more? So the application of listening, I'm going to bring it to supervision here, what we do in supervision. And I'm going to use an example of Joan Wilmot, who's now Joan Showhead. They've always been together, Robin and Joan Showhead. It's a very old video, but I'm going to show her introducing mode 6 of the 7-eyed model, which is based on listening to yourself. And in order to listen to yourself and what's happening in a supervision session or coaching session, You have to make that practice in daily life to know the difference. So the next slide is going to be Joan speaking. Oh, it will do if I get time, but hang on, I must.
Duncan, there isn't any sound. Did you click the sound bit when you put the slides on?
I'll check it again.
Zoom's changed recently as well. It's a little bit further along.
Yeah, I've got share sound on the right-hand side.
Let's try again.
Might you need to turn the sound up on the video, Duncan? Is that possible? I don't know.
It could be. Let's try.
Potentially, when you press share screen, there is an advance bar.
Yeah.
If you press advance and then it says computer audio.
When I press share, I'll stop it for a moment. So give it that time. Yeah.
Do you want to put the URL in the chat and I can see if I can find it on YouTube maybe?
Well, I've got
In case it
two
works that
more.
way.
So let me see what I can do here.
Okay.
So let's go to my sound on the computer.
That might be the link, Claire, in the chat.
So I go to the link. Okay. We'll play this one for now. Can people hear it?
No, we can't hear or see.
Claire, I can play it from my end as well.
Okay, cool.
I'm playing it from YouTube there from the link.
Let's see if I can get the settings. Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you fine.
So what we'll do is I'll give you a précis of what she's done, and then in the next is this somebody else sharing screen?
Yeah, just in case it works this way.
And is it? And that's you sharing your screen, is it, Claire?
It's Samira actually. She managed to jump on it quicker, but there's still no sound. How strange.
So it still
Do a
doesn't.
synopsis like you said, Duncan.
Okay.
Advanced sharing options.
That is a 7 minutes clip, right?
Yeah, let's carry on a minute. I'll give you the idea. It comes from In Love with Supervision.
Mm.
And what she shares there, so it's a lovely clip. It goes 2 decades back, but she talks about the 7-eyed model. And then she says what she does when she's with a client, she notices what's going on in herself. So she's listening to herself as she's listening to the client. And particularly if she notices something that isn't usual to her. For instance, she might feel a bit of tightness in her chest or some anxiety. The way she puts it, she will wonder out loud with the client if that might be useful to them. So she might say, as she was sharing that, I noticed I got a bit anxious or tight in my chest. Does that connect with you in any way? And it's a lovely phrase, which is thinking out loud, wondering out loud. Has anyone got any examples or experience of that?
Duncan, just this morning in a mentor coaching session, that was exactly what the client and I were discussing. And I was working on empowering her to do that in coaching sessions.
Wow. And did she get it?
She got it. And she struggled to understand why, when she was aware of it, she hadn't shared it. And it was just about confidence.
Wow. So I'll tell you what let's do is, how many of you already do this in your coaching or supervision? Yeah. Okay. Sometimes. I'm going to go back to this slide. You know, I'm going to go in a different direction here, because I've got 2 or 3 things I wanted to share with you, which were based on videos. So this is going to put the hogwash on that. So let's open it up a bit. And I'd like to give you an exercise to do, and this is to do when we're talking about the different selves, the self within you and what I call the expanded self. So what I'd like to do is give you an exercise which you can use with clients quickly, or you can use it with groups and supervision, which I call it, this is me. And what part of yourself are you considering as you? So to do this, I need someone who will experiment with me, explore with me, play with me. And then you're going to go into small groups to try it for yourself. I used this with a client 3 or 4 days ago with a very senior executive, and he got into it. So who's willing to do this with me? Pilar? Okay. So Pilar and I are going to do this together, and the rest of you stay mute. You can say it yourself. Okay. But we're in mute, and then you're going to try it. So a lot of
This is being recorded, right?
it's going to be you and me, Pilar, and there's nobody else here.
No, I was just asking because it's recording, right? So
Yeah.
just to be aware.
Yeah. So the thing is, a lot of the time when we go out in the world, we think from the head upwards. We think who we are is our thoughts, our ideas, our cognition. So if you'd stand up for a moment, Pilar, and everybody else, you can do this for yourself. Put your hand under your chin. And you can all do this for yourself and say, this is me.
This is me.
This is me. I'm ahead and I have lots of good thoughts. This is me.
So shall I say it with you?
Yeah. You're going to do it out loud with me.
Okay. This is me. This is my head. These are my thoughts.
Okay. And this is good. This is who I am in the world. This is who I am. This is me.
This is who I am in the world.
Okay. Now put your hand down. If you go down to about waist level, which is what you would see in an office, right? From the desk, us would. And it does include a bit of heart in there. So go down and say, this is me.
This is me.
Go back up to here.
This is me.
And then include your heart.
This is me.
Can you hear the difference in voice tone?
I can sense it. Here it's like, no, this is not truly me.
Your voice gets a bit deeper. So you're up here. This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
Okay, so your voice gets deeper. Now go further to include your hips. So that's including your belly, your guts, your bits, a bit more of you. A bit more of you in the world. So this is me.
This is me.
Go back up to your head.
This is me.
Include the heart.
This is me.
And include your bits, your guts.
This is me.
And now go down. You can point down to the floor on your feet to include your whole body and say, this is me.
This is me.
Look out into the screen. Because I know this is a bit, puts you on the spot, but this is me.
Like this?
Yeah,
This is me.
yeah. So, and now imagine you're going down, you're including the earth, the sky, everything. You're expanding into the whole space. And say, all of this is me.
All this is me.
Right. And that's, first of all, what I would like people to do in breakout rooms, because that way you can all do it and you can practice it. Thank you, Pilar. So is the exercise clear for everybody? And I'll tell you where this came from. I used to teach Alexander technique to these acting students. And some of them, they had all the voice technique and the voice training. But when they went on stage, it's as if they wanted to be an actor, but they didn't want people to see them, all of them. And quite often, even though they got the voice training, when they did this, the whole voice went deeper and stronger. So first of all, you're going to go into subgroups. We'll do this for about 8 minutes, 8 minutes. I'll keep the time. And you're going to practice this. Then imagine having a conversation that you need to have with somebody. Once you've done the "this is me," imagine saying, I'd like to talk to you about something, but a conversation that might need to be had. And say it from each of the different places. So first of all, practice "this is me." And then try saying the words, I need to have a conversation with you, from each of the different places. Is the exercise clear enough?
Gordon, when we do the "this is me," do we do it individually or we do it together?
You can do it if it's in 2 or 3, do it one at a time, but take turns. Because otherwise then you can hear the difference in voice quality then.
Sure.
You
So
might,
for us, sorry,
go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, should we use the same breakouts?
Yeah, why not use the same breakouts because it builds on it. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do while you do that. We'll make it an 8-minute session. I will drop out of Zoom and restart and see if that solves the issue with the sound.
Mm.
Okay, so you've got 8
Sure.
minutes for this.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. You're going to do the breakout rooms, Claire.
Yeah. There we go.
I may have it, Claire.
Hey, Duncan.
Yes.
The video I've got playing sound in one place, so I'm just going to see.
Can I try it first?
Yeah, sure.
Because I may have got it. Oh, you've got to enable me as host again.
Okay. There you go.
I'll stop your student sound.
And they've got about 3 minutes left.
Okay, so let's.
Mode 6 is
Yay.
where, whilst
Okay.
I'm listening to the supervisees share about their client, I'm really noticing what's happening in myself, what's happening to me with regard to feelings, my body sensations, random thoughts that go through my head. I'm scanning it to see if this is
We got it.
About the more unconscious levels.
That's mine. Still got it playing here. I'll pause it now. Was it one of those you just log out and log in and then it works again?
No, it was something on my computer had muted it. And also it reinstalled, put a new version of Zoom up for me. So
There we are.
go. Because I've got two or three more things I wanted to play. So
And it'd be frustrating. Yeah.
okay.
Right, I'll bring them back. They'll have 1 more minute.
Do you think it's still worth listening to Joan or moving on? I think move on maybe.
Yeah. The link's in the chat. They can direct them to watch it later, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll break it. Yeah. It was offering me to have Ukrainian as my main language. So there we go. New version.
One of our trainee supervisees is Ukrainian, so that's where that's come from.
That's good. Whew. Hi.
Hi.
Have you shut the breakout rooms, Claire?
Yeah, there'll be 25 minutes. No, seconds. 25 seconds.
That's very nice exercise, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it leads, to be in the moment by your whole, not only a part of yourself.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can I share some point exactly? Excuse me, it's work like what you have done, Mr. Duncan, and when you are doing this work. But the most important thing, I think, is when person believe inside, when he want to change from himself to others, transformation. This is more important things. And the same time, we are agree, we are sharing all the humanity for 4 things, which is we have mind, and we have emotionally, and we have soul, and we have body. Those all, how the person he can come up for some, that is, say about something is negative things. And this is negative things, how can be affected by himself and changeable. The most important thing, what is happening to us in some cases, like for that is the session coach or coaching session, that is we are doing to be how attendance and listening. This is more important when you are doing some session, like for myself, when you do with a client.
Thank you. Thank you. I cut you off. You want to just say what you were saying?
It's okay. Sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So just who else? What was your feedback on doing that exercise? I did a complete restart while you were doing that, by the way, so I think I've got the sound back. What any other experiences of doing that exercise?
I really enjoyed the differences that I felt, experiencing those differences, because when I was here, I felt like my head was being cut off and my voice was really like a needle, it was flashing. But then when I went, this is me, oh man, just everything just opened up. I felt it in my heart and in my feet. It was just so opening. And I also felt very confident and strong, that in a way it's like, yeah, if you accept me, great. If you don't accept me, that's also great, but we're still going to interact well. I was really grounded. I really, it was eye-opening. I feel like I want to do that every morning now, oh, this is me, and then just, welcome the world. It was eye-opening. Thank you, Duncan. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Arne.
Opportunity.
It's such a simple exercise, and you can make such a shift to people. I mean, I was working with someone who's quite high up, but he's missed out on 2 promotions. And part of it was a tentative way that he projected himself. So he's playing around with this for a couple of weeks now, of just speaking with his whole body, which is one part of being present. So it's a way of being present. And I don't know if anybody, Claire?
It reminded me, it feels like another life, but when I was a teacher and I was working with children with learning difficulties, emotional behavioural problems, and there was that thing of when you had to raise your voice, but in an authoritative, obviously not an aggressive way in any way. And we were taught through drama to go that bit deeper, to project it that bit more. And it just took me back about, I don't know, 30 years. Thank you.
Welcome to all ages of Claire. Thank you. Play around with it, because it's amazing how quickly some clients will get this. And if you supervise people, you can do this. And if you look at the impact model of authority, presence, and impact, the middle one is presence. And so the more of you that is present, the more impact you have. We're going to move on to the spirituality side. And I'm going to risk sharing my screen again with sound. So that's I'll put if I put that link in well, you can see the link there. We'll share it later if you want to watch this. Have a listen or Google for Joan Wilmot presenting the 7-Eye model, because it's really lovely. So as we move on to spirituality and coaching, I want to make it clear I'm talking about my particular experiments, experiences, etc. And everyone has a particular way into spirituality and works for them. I wrote an article for the BACP in the UK, the Counseling and Psychotherapy Institute, on spirituality and coaching. And that picture there, taken by my wife, is a labyrinth there. And you can walk the labyrinth. And the way that I do it is walking from the outside into the center. You can revise or review a period of time, like the year that's just gone. So as you walk in, reflect on what has happened and what's your learning and experiences from the year. And then you walk to the center, and it's like reconnecting. And then walking out, have in mind what wants to emerge in the year to come. It's a lovely way to do it. And that spiral there is a copy of the spiral at Chartres Cathedral in France. And it's actually on the banks of the Ganges. It's in northern India, Rishikesh. And not everything is as it seems. You can see the tree, there is a big banyan tree. And I remember once I was doing this exercise, walking in to the center, feeling very cosmic about it all. And then I felt a light touches it. Is that rain I'm feeling? And then to bring me out of my reverie, I realized it was a monkey in the tree above peeing on me. So not everything is as it seems. And we have to kind of keep everything in context. So when we use spirituality, we might apply a particular model or theory, for instance, the North American practice, the Four Directions, or you might use a Christian perspective or Buddhist or Islam, or anything that particularly calls to you and you're applying in your work. So that's one way of doing it. And another way is to connect with your own greater self or source self. And I'll show a little bit of someone who's influenced me called Joanna Macy, and she uses the breath. And she calls the practice that she does, it comes from Buddhist teachings originally, breathing through. It's what they call a metta meditation. But it's based on the breath. And I'll just show a short 2-minute clip of her explaining or introducing this.
I want to share with you a practice we call breathing through. This is a practice for cultivating compassion. For the healing of our world, we need to stay open. We need to be able to be present to our world and other beings and all that it's going through. This is a great necessity, a great secret, and a great freedom for us. So this practice uses the breath. And we practice it in workshops where we can use it as we go through the practices for honoring our pain for the world. It's also wonderfully useful in our own lives, in our daily lives. So it's a meditation that we do in the midst of our activities. It uses the breath, which is wonderful, because the breath is always with us. We can always turn to that friend, which connects our body with our mind, inside with outside. And so we begin now. Let's just practice being with our breath, putting our attention on the breath, attending to the sensations that accompany the breath, perhaps on our upper lip and our nostrils, the filling of our lungs, the rising and falling of the abdomen. And as we attend in alert yet relaxed fashion to the breathing, not trying to breathe any special way, long or deep or slow, just being with it. And then we notice that we're not deciding each time to breathe in or out. It's happening without our volition. It's like we're being breathed by life.
And then the way that Joanna goes on to demonstrate breathing through is to say that whether it, I came across her in a couple of workshops she did in Findhorn in Scotland, an amazing woman. She says that if you're faced with some strong emotions or difficult things to hear, or you're working with a client and they're emotionally triggered and charged, you're looking to find a balance where you stay open with them, but you don't take it on inside you. Does that make sense? But what we can do if we're bothered by the emotion, we cut ourselves off and we form a barrier. So this very simple practice is, I use it regularly, often. A client is feeling a lot emotionally. What I do is I kind of open myself and I breathe the emotion into my chest area. As I breathe in, I let it come into my heart area in the chest. And then breathing out, I let my heart transform that energy. And what I send out in replace of the emotion is positive intention and regard. Breathing in, allowing the emotion to connect with me, but not holding on to it. And breathing out, sending love and positive regard. Very, very simple. Breathing in, receiving the emotion, whatever it is. Breathing out, consciously intending positive love and regard. You might even do it for a moment now. Just think of a session which has been difficult, where you've been coaching or supervising. Breathing in, allowing the experience to be there. And breathing out, sending positive intention, love, and regard. Breathing in, allowing it to be there, but don't hold on to it. It's to have compassion, is the willingness to feel the pain of another, but it doesn't mean you take it on board. Breathing out, send them positive regard. And it's something that's very, very immediate, practical, and it's always there with you, the breath. Yeah, Active Hope is the latest book from Joanna. She calls it the work that reconnects. I've done 2 workshops with her when she was in her 80s, and she was easily the most alert person in the room. Just if you Google Joanna Macy, you'll find other videos of her. But that practice, I invite you to try it out and explore. Particularly if you feel challenged by it. And remember, what you're looking for is to stay open and be present with the client, but not to be taken over by the emotion. Just talking it through in that way, does it connect with any of you? Yeah. And the link I give is a longer video of her explaining it, but she's great. I'm going to play another couple of things. Now that we've got it working, why give up?
I want to share with you a practice we call
Okay. So another thing I want to play with you is the idea that we can connect with an aspect. Let me get this showing up properly. Different ways of coming at this is we can connect with the other as ourself. And it's as if the veil goes down. And this is a song that expresses that.
I walk in the shadows between the 2 worlds. The veil it is thin, feelings are strong. I hear a faint whisper that's naming me, calling me home to where I belong. I am man, I am woman, I'm wind and I'm water. I'm father, I'm child, I'm earth and I'm fire. Crawl with the beast way down in the valley. I've flown with the eagle way high in the sky. I am black and I'm white and I'm red and I'm yellow. I carry your names, I carry your blood. I've swum in the ocean of infinite joy. I've drowned in the tears of the infinite flood. You may judge me, label me, try to define me, accept me, reject me, whatever you do. If you look in my eyes, will they go on forever? Look in my eyes and you'll see that I'm you.
So that was a song written somewhere up in the north of Scotland, Finland, where sometimes you have the experience of connecting with nature without the barriers between you. And sometimes you can practice, sometimes you get a big Zoom meeting. Just play around with looking at the pictures or the faces on the screen. And we'll just do it for a minute now, or the names, even if you don't see the picture. And just try the words out, I am you and you are me. Just to get that sense of, we have different faces, it's like having different clothes we put on, and different goals. But in essence, we are the same person. We are that oneness. So just look around the screen, or the names. Just try it out. I am you, you are me. Now, of course, it's maybe a little easier here where we have shared interests and backgrounds. You might try it in the next big meeting you're in a workplace situation. Just, get that sense of connection, how much you have in common and how much you're connected to this other person. I sometimes do it in nature with the trees or the plants, just that sense of being oneness. So we might experience the spiritual self as that core within us. We might experience it as that oneness. I am one with everything that exists. Another one that I've experienced and used is that, like that, this is me. I am the space in which everything comes and goes. And I would say that when my coaching or supervision work is best, I'm not always in that place. It's a sense of expansion. And in that space, you say what you need to say. The client says what they need to say, but it's happening in the space. It's almost like being out of your own way. And the next video I'm going to play is from, if you know Krishna Das. He's a beautiful singer. He teaches chanting. And this is him talking about his experience when he suddenly realized that oneness where he could let himself sing. When I used to go on 2 flights sometimes, I'd travel to Estonia, which was 2 flights to deliver coach training. Sometimes I might have Die Hard on the laptop to look at, but often I would listen to this video from Krishna Das, his life story, Breath of Heart. Very, very inspiring. He had a difficult time. So I'll share the screen and hopefully it's still going to play. Oh, we have to roll through it all.
I want to share with you.
Here we go.
I was coming back, and I had no idea how long I had been sitting there. No idea. But I was now fully, deeply, and completely in this state of peaceful presence. This vast space outside of which there could not be anything, like the clouds in the sky, like the earth, like everything is held in space. And I wasn't there. Who I knew myself as was not there anymore, and I was just present. And I felt as if I had, like a wave in the ocean. The ocean and the wave are not different. They appear different at certain times because certain forces cause a wave to be formed. The wave must think it's really great, right? And then it dissolves. Why bother to get all puffed up, with all that shit? You're going to dissolve sooner or later. It makes no difference. It's temporary. Don't get so caught up in it. There's just water here. Big, wet ocean. So for a minute you're like this, then you're not. That's a life. And even when I think I'm a wave, I'm just ocean. And that's what, that moment, this freed me to go back to America and really to be able to sing 100%. Because it wasn't about me, which is what I had been longing for. To be free to sing, to not be in my own way. And now for the first time in my life, I was out of my own way. There was nobody there to turn it off, to push it away, to turn the volume down, to protect himself from. There was just this love everywhere. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I was freed from thinking that I was doing this, that I was the one chanting, that it was my responsibility. It wasn't about me at all.
So Krishna Das has got 40 years, 50 years experience as a musician. So he can play his instrument. He's got a great pitch, he can sing. But it's not like as a coach or a supervisor, you don't bring your experience, your skills, your questions in. But the idea is sometimes allowing that to be available to come through, getting out of your own way. So that the self, the greater self, is present. And then you and the client are in that space together. And what needs to be said is said. So whether it's that or something different, I'm in two minds now. So give me an idea what you like. We could do an exercise where you go into breakout rooms and explore that. But I kind of feel we're getting to the end of 90 minutes and we took a bit of time earlier. I want to hear from you what parts of spirituality inform your coaching and supervision. I'd like to hear other perspectives on what allows you to be the best coach you are while bringing in these other dimensions.
For me, Duncan, it's about being fit for purpose. And if we don't look after ourselves, how can we be fully present and fit for purpose for our work with our clients?
Which brings us back to the other sense of sustainability and taking care of yourself.
For me, it's about creating a larger space or container through presence that is based on a wider field that allows the client to maybe tap into that like a tuning fork to explore their own larger field.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie.
For me, it's about being truly myself, how I am.
Yeah, which you do.
Yes. Thank you.
It's different words and different experiences, but that sense of getting out of the way, not making, I'm trying to do it right. I've got to get it right, but allowing it to come through. What other ideas or experiences about this? Or you might want to point it to something else you think we could have touched on today.
I could share mine is similar to what was just said. I kind of label it authenticity, claiming all parts of me, even the ones I have put in my shadow or have pushed away for conditioning reasons or societal reasons or what have you. So kind of reclaiming all of me and redefining authenticity in a way that allows me to live fully with all parts of me.
And that way, whatever part of is it Irena?
Irena's fine, yeah.
That way, whatever part of Irena is called to come forth, comes forth.
Yeah. Yeah. With full acceptance.
Yeah.
For myself, it's self-care to ensure that I'm giving the best or provide best coaching experience.
I missed that last bit. Sorry, Fatima.
Yeah, for myself, it's self-care, so I can provide the best coaching experience and ensure best coaching experience while I'm using the self-care and this self-supervision.
Thank you. What else? Who else? And allowing that whatever you go ahead. Yeah, I think a hand went up. I'm not sure. I couldn't see it. Just speak out.
Yeah, my name is Joahir. Thank you, Duncan, for this inspiring lecture. I used to call myself, and Samira remember that very well. I used to call myself apart from my clients, and the image that I used it because I love cooking and it's part of my sustainability. I usually bake and cook besides playing and exercising to release the stress. I'm working in a healthcare, and in healthcare we have a multi-nationality, about 90 nationality. So being the container and maintaining the presence for my client, I think it's the secret for my success, if I may say. Yeah, being a covered lady, being a Muslim, being a Saudi. I remember I'm sure that also you receive the same thing. My clients from other nationality will always have this fear of judging or she's a Saudi, I'm working since she's working in the hospital or being a national, how can I trust her? And I ventilate to her as a coach. So I always have this secret of dealing with this. And they love it. They love it. And actually now they love the Arabic concept. You mentioned Christianity, I do respect that. And also in our part of the world, being emotional and passionate people among ourselves, I think I master also to take care of other nationality with their mindset and also their backgrounds. So we are one. And when you play that music, it's really hit me strongly because we are human beings, no matter what. We have our experience, and don't let religion, background, cultural aspect differentiate us. We share the same spirit and soul and experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Yara. They're beautiful. What else needs to be said, maybe? Maybe if you're holding yourself back from saying something, but maybe it would just be something that would be lovely for someone else to hear as well as you to say it. What might you want to say?
So
Can
for
I add
me,
something?
Go ahead, Ali. Go, Coach Ali.
Yeah, thank you, Samira. I think I want always to remember that I am that piece of wood, floating on the water, helping, those are trying to survive and to go on with their life. I want to remember I'm that piece of wood, whatever it is, by whole, helping, it is a light in that river, surviving, surviving tools. So it can help, to direct to the life, to the improvement, to the good things to the client. This is what it comes in my mind just right now, to be that piece of wood, you know. This is what I want just to add. Thank you, Samira, and all.
Thank you, Ali. And what a great image. Beautiful image. Samira.
Yeah. And I sometimes think we are, as coaches, are those pieces of woods, but our clients are not the survivors. We are the one who needs surviving. Yeah. So see, I always ask for the space to connect with the client before the coaching happens, or with the team or with the organization, to be part of that symbiotic system. So it doesn't matter where they come from, whether they believe in something or whether what I believe. It's sometimes those moments of, hey, I thought about you, and I was just thinking about you as well. That type of different level of connection, And it's sometimes connecting to what matters and works for the other individual, because we are co-learning in this space. So sometimes a client will come and say, and I know this client is religious Christian or Buddhist or Hindu. So I would say, I wonder what would Jesus say in this situation, or Apostle Paul will say here. What is Krishna's take on this? Do you remember what happened between Ram and Krishna in that specific situation? So it's also being that level of, I am what the system needs me to be, and I'm taking what is also working for me as a coach.
Thank you. I think there's such a wealth of conversations to be had here, that if we actually reflect on how we bring that something more into our coaching, because I work with the competencies, and categorizing does that. They're necessary and helpful, but sometimes I think they can restrict us from expressing more. Any other thoughts? Rafa?
Yeah, honestly, it came to my mind about it by Mahmoud Darwish. And he's saying, I don't define myself to not lose it. And I prefer to answer by this way, like I still don't define myself in a specific field or a specific image of a coach. So yeah, to be limitless with or defining myself. Yeah, thank you.
And I think it's great to hear from other backgrounds, other cultures, other experience, other perspectives, And it's interesting, I know the Hindu often talk about the self, but the self is the one self that includes all of us. And then the Buddhists talk about no self, which would be a bit like you were saying. When you explore, there is no self there, there's just that vastness. So I think we had it on the training, Claire, when you brought in the 4 directions. There was a kind of bit of a hunger to have these conversations and to include the bigger dimensions or other dimensions. By the way, I will say now that if everybody's interested, I'm starting a new supervision group by Zoom, which will start in the autumn. So if anybody is interested in that, get in touch. And the other thing I wanted to mention was, in terms of the self factor, I'm exploring, I used to do a 12-week course on this, which was sent out by email, where you'd explore one element of developing yourself and then another week, another one. And I'm thinking of doing that. If you'd like to be included in that, I'm offering a course at a very reduced rate, about £50 for but some of these sessions, 3 of them will be recorded. So part of what I would want would be able to record them for other people. So if you're interested in either of those things, get in touch. What else remains as We say in a coaching session, what else needs to be said here for us to be complete as a group? And it's okay to repeat something.
I wanted to say that your way of conducting or, I don't know, training, facilitating is a mirror of the message that you're giving us or me. So it's really this being sustainable, authentic, and acceptance. So I wanted to thank you a lot as a model, Duncan.
Thank you, Mirella. I could put the mirror back to you. And I found it quite challenging, I have to tell you, the beginning of this thing when the video didn't work and the sound didn't work. So I had to use my own ability to go into the breathing and come back to be present. But that's life, isn't it?
Mm.
Is there anything else? Is there anything anyone would like to use this group to acknowledge themselves for? Sometimes we don't get the acknowledgement we need. We don't acknowledge ourselves. And just 2 or 3 people to say, what I really appreciate about myself is, or my work is. Anybody? Caroline, good face.
I will be brave because I've written wow in the chat. I'd like to acknowledge myself for my creative ideas. And thank you for the opportunity, Duncan, to share that.
Thank you, Claire. And I would appreciate you for your creativity and all that you brought into the slides and alternatives. I mean, the idea to do this came because you played a video about the 4 directions. Who else, just to acknowledge yourself, particularly if there's something you wish somebody else would acknowledge about you?
I'd like to jump in, Duncan. I'd like to acknowledge myself for being brave and courageous to jump into a new group, and for going on camera, even, this last opportunity to speak, just to actually connect with another group of people around this topic, and just to explore the vulnerability of that in an open way without judging myself.
Thank you, Hamish. It's a vulnerable area because, it used to be in coaching, we weren't supposed to talk about emotions 20 years ago, right? Because if you talked about emotions too much in coaching, you were preaching on therapy. Or it used to be that you couldn't give any advice or share experience because, are you getting into consultancy? So coaching has expanded now. And I think most MCC coaches would say, well, of course, emotions are part of coaching and what we work with. And of course, sometimes it's okay to share video, right? And share ideas. But maybe there's still a little bit of judgment on those other sides of ourselves, what you might call the spiritual side. Or vulnerability, I would put it that way. So thank you, Hamish, for naming that.
And thank you, Duncan. Did I speak over you then, Duncan?
No.
Thank you so much for, I think it was actually therapeutic. I feel so calm leaving this session. So I appreciate your style. I appreciate your content, your delivery, which has been mentioned. And also the different ideas that have come up from everyone here. So thank you from us all.
A pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
That was fabulous, Duncan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Claire.
And yeah, let's jump online, just in case, because we talked about you delivering a session in the diploma.
Yeah.
So we'll set up a time. I've got to jump now to my diploma group. Hi, Marella. So I'm sorry to run abruptly. Oh, need to pause.
So we'll